for this week. I'm Erin Riva. I'm the owner of SparkBC, and I'm happy to bring you two of our SparkBC experts this week. We've got Dave Chevalier out in Chilliwack. Hey, Dave.
Hi there.
And we've got Ted Gilbert out in the interior. How's it going, Ted?
Hey, Erin. It's going really good. Good to see you again.
Yeah, you too. So tell me about the photo we're going to be looking at today.
Well, this came in from an electrician who was telling me that he was going to be updating, putting in a new 400 amp service. So he had some questions about it and sent me these pictures, and they were under the impression that this was a 400 amp service. Let me just bring up the picture for you. I hope you can all see that. So we started looking at it, and right away, I asked him if there was any markings on the outside of the switch. He said, no, there's nothing on the outside of the switch. It's just a 400 amp service, and you can see the old gutter box they were going to work on. So I said, well, hey, first of all, this never met code under old codes, and it certainly wouldn't meet codes if this was going to be a new install. First of all, I don't think this is a 400 amp service. It's definitely 400 amp rated switch gear and a 400 amp rated CT cabinet that you can see they were taking apart. But actually on closer inspection, this turned out to be parallel 1-aught copper, which means that this was a 300 amp service. And as such, it certainly needed to be marked. Let me just go to a code rule that I flashed up here. Under section 2 of the code, under technical general rules, it says number 2, at the time of installation, each service box shall be marked in a conspicuous, legible, and permanent manner to indicate clearly the maximum rating of the overcurrent fuse that may be used for this installation. So in this case, they've thought all along that they had a 400 amp service. The most basic warning about how and what the rating was of this service was never ever installed. And in fact, somebody could have quite easily have thought, without even really looking at it, oh, I've got 400 amp 3-phase. This is great, and not realize and added a bunch of load to it and basically created an unsafe situation. The other rule, which is really important, is subrule 4, where the maximum continuous load allowed on a fuse switch or circuit breaker, as determined in accordance with 8104 subrules 5 and 6, is less than the continuous operating marking of the fuse switch or circuit breaker. A permanent legible caution marking shall be field applied adjacent to the fuse switch or breaker to indicate the maximum continuous loading permitted for connection to the fuse switch or the breaker. So even though this is a 300 amp service, the maximum continuous load that would have been allowed on this switchgear, unless there was some other marking to indicate it, would have been 80% of the 300 amps. This is one of the new rules. You can notice the little triangle up there beside the 4 in the subrule 4. So this means that this is a new rule, and it's meant to make sure that when electricians come in and go to work on equipment, that the new warning label that's required, what the maximum continuous load is strictly observed, so that people don't make a mistake and say, hey, I got a 400 amp service, or hey, I got a 300 amp service. We've got lots of power. So by putting this new subrule 4 warning label up, it says you may have a 300 amp service, but actually you've only got a service that can supply a 240 amp continuous load. And that's important when you're talking about commercial loads or other types of continuous loads. So, Dave, over to you. What do you think of this service? What else can we find in this install here?
Well, we could look at the grounding and bonding and see if everything's okay, there. So is black tape okay? I guess he's just trying to make things safe on the system grounding conductor. We could look at the fusing and see if we figured out our fault current rating and see if a standard fuse is okay, or would we have to look and see if HRC1 fusing is required?
Oh,
So,
that's a really good point, particularly on a commercial job where the hydro or supply transformer outside could be considerably larger and the available fault current at these fuses could be over the 10,000 amp rating that these one-timers are rated for. Good point. Anything else there?
you know, it's old. Some FSR's got to have a good look at it, right? And make sure it's approved and adequate for the purpose.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely on that. Well, Aaron, that's it for today's topic. We just wanted to make that point to your electricians out there that, hey, just make sure that you know what you're looking at and you've got the power that you think you have before you make any agreements that you can add a bunch more load to it. So back to you, and you can wrap it up for us. Thanks.
Yeah, as always, you know, if you've got any comments on this or questions for Ted or Dave, be sure to email us at info@sparkbc.ca, or you can comment down below always. And if you've got any photos of your own, be sure to send them to us either at our email, or you can go to the SparkBC community and upload your photo there for our experts to comment on. So thanks again to you guys for commenting on these photos and bringing them to our audience today. I'm sure everybody loves hearing from you, and also just taking advantage of your expertise. It's so valued. So thanks so much, you guys. Bye.
Thanks, Aaron. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
See you again.
Bye.